All right. Welcome back to the Human Condition Unmasked. And so grateful to be here again. Today I have with us Dylan Stewart, who's been a friend for many years, who's an incredible coach, has helped lots of men. He's currently I know many people that are depending on him, newly a new father. I'm excited for people to get to meet him. And today's conversation is going to be something that I've been looking forward to. So, Dylan, maybe you can give the audience a little bit more background on who you are and a little bit of our relationship, and then we'll dive into the topic.
My name is Dylan Stewart. I live in Los Angeles. I'm 53 years old. I have three kids. My oldest is 31 years old and just made me a grandfather last year. My middle one is 18 years old, and he's trying to get into film school. My youngest is 4 months old. And so I run this gamut, three separate mothers. I'm a men's coach. I'm a life coach. I'm a computer consultant and a computer and technology coach. And I exist in multiple different realities as far as what I know, what I teach, how I support the people around me. Cal, you and I met through men's work probably
Right.
about 5 or 6 years ago. And in that time, I've watched you grow an enormous amount. I've been in men's work for over 20 years, almost 25 years now. And it's been life altering for me to find my place amongst the men and really a gift for me to get to know you and help you find your place amongst the men.
Thank you. What I what I want to do actually a quick second, I didn't anticipate doing this, which is maybe if somebody's listening and has no idea what men's work actually means, I would love because we've had this conversation before at men's gatherings and also between you and I. For some reason, it's not familiar to everyone. Maybe you can give a brief recap what that actually means and its origin, etc.
Well, at the basis, men need other men. We need a space where we can be treated like men and be challenged and create a safe space for us to be emotional and be challenged to be better, to sharpen our edges. Men's work is a conscious, intentional circle created on a regular basis where you meet with other men to help yourself and them become better men. It's not religiously affiliated. It's not spiritually affiliated. It's not politically affiliated. It's not a 12-step program. It is simply men coming together to help each other become better fathers, better brothers, better sons, better employees, better employers, better friends, better people, men helping each other become better men. And the work that we do is sacred and precious work where we tell the truth to each other, where we help
Right.
men see our blind spots and help them see their blind spots so that we can improve as human beings and be responsible, reliable, powerful members of society.
You and I have sat in various different men's teams. You know that when we started this new iteration, when you started this new iteration, when I participated in it, and the men's team that we're currently on, it took me maybe a year and a half to 2 years until I felt safe enough to actually remove my mask,
Unmask the human condition. Yeah.
unmask, like literally to share things that I never thought I would ever share with other men and get to experience what it feels like being loved in spite of my stories, to be cared for in spite of what I thought others' reactions will be. So lots of hours of conversation can go in of what happens, of what techniques and methods, and you and I have been in on a regular rhythm of having conversations. There's a
Yes.
topic that we're going to speak today a little bit about. When you had mentioned it to me, you were like, I'm writing an entire book on it or a chapter in a book. I know it's a topic that you think of a lot. It's a system of a worldview, if you will. So maybe
Yeah.
introduce the idea and then we can start dissecting this. The reason why this is exciting, we're not just recording information I know. It's actually going to be me learning, me diving into this thing that you've been referring to for a little bit. So this is going to be happening in real time. So I'm excited.
I love it. I love it. It's not a book. It's at least two and probably an entire series of books that are interconnected around this concept.
Amazing.
I've been gifted at a number of points in my life based on the awareness and the presence that I try to hold when I'm in conversations and when I'm in relationship. I've been gifted some really, really powerful tools that can change who we are as human beings. And one of these tools is what I call the multiple me's and the infinite gratitude loop.
Okay.
Let it sink in. So
The
I
multiple
believe,
me's
uh huh,
and the infinite gratitude loop.
yeah,
And they're interchangeable, these two, or these are two different
they're
concepts within a day.
connected.
They're
No, they're
connected.
connected. They're connected
Okay.
to each other intimately. And
Okay.
it starts with the concept that you're never alone. You're never alone. You know, we think of time in this linear path. Like here's yesterday and today and tomorrow. And I am walking from yesterday into today and in tomorrow I'll head into the next world. I don't see it that way anymore. I don't see it as linear. I believe that we are in constant relationship with all versions of ourselves simultaneously. And that if you break through the veil, if you can step outside of our societal constraints, you'll recognize that the world is more complex than it is linear, that there isn't one version of you. There's a version of you that started this conversation. There's a different version of you that's going to end this conversation because we are in change. We are made of change. We're never, ever just one thing. And as a result of that, I believe that there is a relationship that we have to hold between the present self, the one that's here now, the one that can take action, and the past self, the one that took actions yesterday, a month ago, a year ago, 40 years ago, that puts you into position to be here now. Those past
Right.
versions of Cal, those past versions of Dylan, and then the future versions of Cal and Dylan, the ones that are yet to come, that are reliant upon the choices that present Cal and Dylan are going to make. If we recognize that we're not just this lone soul walking alone on our path and trying to figure out our life, but in reality, we are a piece of a chain that stretches from the day we were born and brought into this planet, unless it comes
Or
before
maybe
then, but we'll
before
see.
then.
And it stretches all the way until we take our last breath. And that within that chain, it's all happening simultaneously. We just can't see it that way. So
Okay,
your
so that's an
future,
important part
Cal,
because it's not unfolding, it's a simultaneous self. Now, is it a different self, a theological self, an ideological self, a biological self, or you're like the totality of who I am, past, present, and future?
I think that you could
Or,
break it apart if you wanted to. I think you could have a conversation from a theological standpoint with one version of your future self who understands something about theology that this version doesn't. And you could have a conversation with a past version of yourself about biology that this version is feeding upon that past version's knowledge. I think that you could dissect it just really as incrementally as you wanted to. I
okay,
choose to think of it holistically because the concept of being an infinite number of yous, the multiple versions of me, is already enough of a stretch of our, you know, our brains, our capabilities are constrained within this world that we live in and the cultural, societal expectations of what's possible. And so within this already finite world that we find ourselves in, it's enough to think that you're infinite. But to think that each version of your infinite self is also infinite, that's a little complex. It's doable. It's just not necessary on the first level.
right.
So I'm ready to go another step unless you have a question. It seemed like you might have a question there.
Maybe not a question, more like, okay, let me try to dissect it. So we're going to see the self not as, not only as the person that we are currently showing up as, because I only went as far as I have this statement that I've shared with people so many times, which is the past is not really happening in the past as a given, because I experience it that way. When people go, well, that's what you experienced when you were younger, but you're now at a different time in time. And I go, no, the things that I was is the things that I was inspired by, the things that impacted me, what a particular thing meant is still present. There's just layers of it. I just never went to the future self. This is where I kind of get stretched because my past isn't in the past. I am experiencing everything that I've experienced up to this point, but with the newest iteration of self based on current awareness and knowledge.
I want to take that idea of the past because you're talking about what inspires you. And I also want to talk about what scarred you,
Right.
what changed you,
Yeah,
what
obviously.
altered you. Every element of your past, from your parents and your heritage and the connections that you had with your youthful friends and original experiences of life, all the way to when we started this conversation just a few minutes ago.
It's still informing what you see, what you hear, what you make it mean. Right.
Mhm. Energy is energy and it isn't linear,
Right.
it's holistic. And that's why I say, like,
Or
if you want to,
cyclical.
it's
Right.
cyclical. If you want to dive deep and separate it out, go for it. You're welcome to. But if you can stay on the holistic basis of understanding that we as human beings are simultaneously experiencing things, we just can't interpret it in that way. Our
Right.
lifetime happens in a blink and an eternity simultaneously. And if you think about those moments that impacted you, right? I can think about the first time I went surfing and I caught a wave. I can think about every millisecond of catching that wave.
Hmm.
But the whole moment was also a millisecond, except in those moments when you're experiencing life, when you're fully experiencing things, it is simultaneously tiny and infinite. That moment is a second, a millisecond. It passed like that. Or was it a lifetime? It's a little hard to tell. So, because we've all experienced those moments that are simultaneously infinite and infinitesimally small, I believe that we are consistently experiencing everything and have experienced it all at the same time. We just can't, our tiny, puny little human brains cannot interpret the stimuli that is coming in all directions from a fourth dimensional time space. So we broke it down into moments.
Okay, so now how do we relate to the future through that lens?
Well, the past is what already happened, and we have
It's like
memories
where
of the
does free
past.
choice come in? Is the question.
I think free choice is everywhere within this because I don't
Right.
think there's one version of you. I don't think there's one version of you tomorrow, let alone at the end of your life. There's an infinite number of you. And those separate versions of you, if you listen, they'll explain why they deserve to exist.
Do you mean like if I looked at self right now, I would see different versions of self? Is that what you're referring to?
You will see different versions and potential versions of who you could be because nothing is written. And yet there's a plan and maybe everything's written. I'd like to believe in human free will and the will of choice and the ability to choose your destiny. But I also believe we have a destiny. And somehow the dichotomy of the two is something I can hold without trying to explain the contradiction. So what I'd say in that is there is a potential version of you tomorrow. Forget about end of your life. Just talk about tomorrow. There's a potential version of you tomorrow. He wakes up and he has different opportunities. There's one version of you tomorrow that gets out of bed right at 5 in the morning and goes to the gym. There's another version of you that sleeps in a half an hour. He's a little bit lazy, wanted to hit the snooze alarm. There's another version of you that doesn't get up until the sun is like in his face. He doesn't get up till like 9, 10 a.m. Each
Right.
of these versions of you are potential based upon choices that present you is going to make. So future you, when you're in relationship with him, is going to say, listen, Cal, This is 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, Cal. I want to be at the gym. I want to go work out. I want to start my day and already be well in motion by 6 in the morning. And in order to do that, you're going to need to take some actions tonight. You're going to need to take care of yourself, get to sleep, set an alarm. And I'm going to tell you what's going to happen if we do get up tomorrow. If we do get up that early, you're going to be in front of the day. You're going to feel energized and awake and alive. Yeah, you'd be a little tired in the morning, but it's going to be worth it because by midday, you're going to have accomplished more than most men do by 4 or 5 in the evening. That's my pitch for you, Cal. So I'd like to see you make that happen. But here's the trick. Future self has zero control. He can give you dreams. He can give you wishes. He can give you ideals of what it could be. But present Cal makes decisions.
So future self is inviting you
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
into bringing it forth or living yourself into it.
right. Your decisions will create that version of future Cal. But all right, 11 a.m. future Cal is also here. He's going to go, dude, think about what you could do tonight. You could watch movies until 2 in the morning. Okay. There's this nightclub down the street, man. There are the most amazing women there. The music is so good. And we can go there tonight and you can have a blast. You might even find the woman of your dreams there tonight. And you can come home and have a great time with her and then sleep in. Don't set an alarm. Don't worry about waking up tomorrow. Let the sun wake us up and enjoy our evening. And when the sun wakes us up, we'll trust that what's meant to be will be, and we'll get to follow our path. It's an opportunity. It's a completely different version of you. It only requires that you make different choices in the present
Right.
moment. And we're talking about tomorrow. Okay. And we've given two dramatically different versions of Cal and Dylan that could wake up tomorrow, right? Now go forward a full year. Okay. March 24th, 2027. That version of Cal has some things to say to you. He says, hey, listen, we got to make some changes here. I need to see you doing things differently with the way you hold your finances, with the way you hold your relationships, with the way you hold your work, with the way you hold yourself. In order for me to be who I want to be, everything you're doing right now has to shift and up level. And it's going to be really hard. You might have to give up your plush apartment. You might have to change the way you work and the way you communicate. But what I offer you a year from now is the income level of your dreams, the client base that you wouldn't be able to pay for because it's so valuable, and a relationship with someone who you haven't met yet who's going to change your life. Are you willing to trust that that 1 year down the road version of you knows enough to tell you how to spend the next 364 days?
Hmm. Hmm.
Right? It's an interesting idea. And here's the other piece of it, because so you asked how we bring the present, the future self in, and that's a piece of it is you dream a little. You break down the boundaries between today and tomorrow, and you let your dreams inspire today present you to take contrary different actions, to do things you might not want to do. Because present self is the only one who gets to experience things. He's the only one who gets to make choices. And it is very, very easy to fall prey to instant gratification because present self doesn't want to suffer for future self. What's the benefit of that? I want to go out and dance the night away tonight. That's going to be fun. Tell me I had to go to bed early. I got to wake up and go to the gym. I don't want to wake up and go to the gym. I want to let the sun rise and teach me what my day could be. Your present self has all the control.
Right.
And your relationship with your past self is also amazingly critical. Let me tie that together for us before you ask a question, okay? So remember our 11 a.m. Cal, right? Tomorrow Cal that doesn't really want you to go out late tonight and party, right? That Cal. I want you to put yourself into tomorrow Cal, and he did it. He did it. He convinced you. You were out until 3 in the morning tonight. You had a great time. You didn't end up with the woman of your dreams, but you ended up with a woman for the evening. Came home, had a good enough time. Sun rose. You realized not that great of a woman, and now you got to kind of get her out of your house. And at the exact same time, you're tired, but you got things to do. Okay. All of a sudden, there's a discrepancy. The discrepancy is that present Cal, this one that I'm talking to right now, is now past Cal. Choices were made tonight. They already happened. And you are now in tomorrow Cal. And you're pissed. Why? Because you made choices based on instant gratification that are feel great in the moment,
Right.
feel great. But at the end of the day, you got work to do and you're tired. You got bills to pay and there's nobody putting deposits in your account because you didn't get up at 6. You didn't get your day started on time and you're upset about it. Mad. Who are you mad at, Cal?
Self,
Self. Which self?
the future self that is now in the past.
Oh, but the future self can only suggest and invite. He can't do jack. So it's
Right.
really this present self that somewhere along the line made choices based on the inspiration of future self. And future self's job is not to do it.
Right.
It's to convince present self to do it. And so present self did it. And now future self, future Cal is looking backwards and going, I had things to do today. You jerk. You selfish jerk. How dare you do that and wreck my potential of what tomorrow was supposed to be? I'm not going to ever forgive you for that. I'm pissed. And as present future self, right? I'm going to screw next future self because I now want to have the same fun that past self got that I'm pissed about. We're creating a chain of events by not being aware of letting go of past self's mistakes. You start to create an accidental chain. Future self, we're gonna let's stop calling it present and future. Let's be clear, okay? We're gonna call it March 23rd Cal. Today, Cal. March 23rd Cal. Tomorrow, he's in the past. March 24th Cal is mad at him because he doesn't have what he needed to do to build to 2027 Cal or 2030 Cal or 2050 Cal. He's now on a wrong road. And because March 23rd Cal made these decisions, March 24th Cal feels slighted. And he's going to make decisions too for him to take advantage of his little moment in the sun of being present Cal. And March 25th Cal is going to do the same thing. And March 26th Cal is going to do the same thing. And March 27th Cal is going to, and 2030 Cal is never going to arrive the way he wants.
Hmm.
So here's the piece that closes that loop. When you make the mistake, when you wake up at 11 a.m., the wrong partner in your bed, tired, you didn't get up to the gym, rather than just being upset about it and moving on with kind of like gritting your teeth and going, well, screw you, you have a conversation with Pascal. You give March 23rd, Cal, an opportunity to just apologize. Sounds a little something like this. I'm really sorry. It sounded like a lot of fun to go out drinking, hang out all night long, dance, meet a cute woman. Potential of it was really inviting, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I should have been more respectful and responsible because I really let you down. I'm sorry I was selfish. I didn't know what it meant. Will you accept my apology? And in that moment,
And you speak into your future.
well, you're speaking to your past. Well, let me rephrase that. Your past is speaking to your present.
Mm,
March 23rd, Cal, on the other side of these bad decisions, is speaking to March 24th, Cal, tomorrow, Cal. Not your future, because now that decision's been made. You woke up at 11 a.m.,
right.
the wrong person in your bed, and you're mad. And he's saying, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be selfish. It just sounded really good. And I'm going to ask you for forgiveness. So, March 24th, Cal, you have a choice. You can say, screw you. Why would I forgive you? You're just going to do it again because you know what tomorrow holds.
Right.
Or you can break the chain. And breaking the chain is something that you have done and I have done many times in our past by making different contrary decisions to what felt good or what made sense or what was our pattern or habit. And you can say, I've been there, March 23rd, Cal. I've been there. Those evenings out, they sound like a whole lot of fun. I forgive you. I'm glad you had fun. I'm going to take one for the team. And tonight, I'm going to go to bed early. And I'm going to make sure that March 25th, Cal, tomorrow, Cal, has a day where he can start to build to our 2030, Cal. And I thank you for your apology. And I'm ready to move on. Remember the name of this concept. The concept is the multiple me's and the infinite gratitude loop. So let me introduce you to the infinite gratitude loop. Ready? When you forgive past self for his mistakes, it gives permission to present self to make mistakes without fear that he will be blamed or judged. It means that you don't have to be perfect today, but if you do your best and you make an effort, a legitimate effort towards 2030 Cal, because we've really got to like moonshot for 10
Future.
years, right? You got to go future enough. Tomorrow, Cal, is just tomorrow. It doesn't matter. Whatever. What one decision, who cares? But 10 years from now, Cal, he matters. You're building to him. You have to build to him over the course of time. So if your forgiveness is real and you let past Cal off the hook, then present Cal knows that even if he screws up, you will still give forgiveness and be grateful for him.
Like this grace.
Yeah. Because March 23rd, Cal, the one that went out and stayed out late, it was a fun evening. We have some good memories from that evening. Even though you're a little pissed, you're like, I'm glad you had fun tonight, buddy. Thanks for that. And as you create that gratitude for your past and the understanding that mistakes are okay, not only okay, but necessary, each step of the way, you begin to build this gratitude loop. And what happens is when future Cal, and we'll go 2027, we don't have to go to 2030, we'll go to 2027 Cal. 2027 Cal is already grateful for present you. He knows what's happening. He can see it. Says, thank you for getting up early tomorrow. Thank you for making different choices. Thank you for breaking the patterns and the habits. Thank you for
Right.
building to me. Thank you for giving me a chance to be and to exist. Because there's lots of other versions of us around here that would rather different paths. But you chose me and I thank you for it. Um, there was a phrase, a Native American shaman that I was working with gave me this phrase and it locked into me and I never forgotten it. He said, "Do you know what the definition of prayer is? Grateful anticipation. Being grateful for that which has not yet come to pass, but having confidence that it's on its way. And you can say thank you for that which you haven't received." And future Cal is praying right now. And he's having that grateful anticipation, but it's going to require the breaking of the chain with your anger towards the past. And you have to start forgiving. Not just
Okay,
yesterday, Cal.
so this is a crazy. Okay, so where you landed right now is future self, future Cal is not looking towards the future. Future Cal is looking towards the present, praying with anticipation. This is, oh my God, my brain.
Uh-huh. 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 Do you see it
Pulling
though?
forth, inviting
Uh-huh.
toward with gratitude for the
Come
choices
to
made in the
me.
present.
Come to me.
But the resistance here is the constant fighting with the past. The constant non-forgiving of the past has the future self praying with exhaustion because my attention isn't toward him.
Right. You're so mad at the decisions you made back then. You're so mad about it that future self is just like, I hope you can forgive yesterday because tomorrow is going to be amazing. But you can't get to tomorrow as long as all you're focused on is yesterday and today. The only self that has any real
Agency, of
control and
course.
agency is this moment. And because he's mad at the past, he can't see the future.
Right.
And the mad at the past is a real thing. It's a real thing. If you think about it, you will have a hard time being grateful for certain versions of ourselves. We're so angry with ourselves all the time that it's very rare that you will sit down. You and I have had this conversation. Um, there was a moment for me. There was a moment for me, and it's way before I understood this concept. I was in a toxic relationship, and I'd been in it for 7 years, toxic from the start. And I woke up one day and not a big Facebook social media person, but those were the days. Those were the early 2000s or wherever it was, 2015 maybe.
Where
Um,
MySpace is still going out of business and
it's post MySpace.
Facebook.
I don't think Facebook had even bought Instagram yet. Like that's where we are in the social media ethos. And I pulled out my Facebook and I saw this post, and this post said, remember, I can see it in my head. Do something today that your future self will thank you for. And in that moment, I knew exactly what my future self needed. It was like he
Hmm.
had planted the series of coincidences for me to be able to turn that page at that time to see this random post that said that. Like what? It's infinitesimally small. Somehow it was planted there for me to see this and go, do something today that your future self will thank you for. And I looked at it and I was like, I have to leave this relationship today.
But here's the interesting thing. You don't relate to it as a metaphysical thing. You relate to it as a real thing, which is beautiful. Like the uniqueness of what we're describing here is a dialogue that happens on a frame, a metaphysical frame or track
Huh?
that is literal in some way,
Yeah.
whatever literal means, but obviously not physical, literal,
Right. Right.
real, but not physical.
It can be theoretical if you
Right.
like. It can be like, well, I was once past Dylan and I'm currently present Dylan and someday I'll be future Dylan. This is a theory. We understand this theory. We've all been told this theory.
And we also know that we're only, we, like from the moment we're born until we die, we're only going to experience right now, like quite
Right
literally.
now. That's it. That's all we get. And we can take that as theoretical as you want, as spiritual as you can break it down any way you want, but can you touch it? Can you make it tangible?
I've discovered that the things that are the most tangible are the least tangible. The things that are the least tangible are the most tangible. Like what moves us isn't tangible, and we
Right.
always make decisions based on what's not tangible. So that's a
Right.
bizarre, um, yeah,
So I've chosen
truth.
to break that barrier between the tangible and the intangible, between the theoretical and the literal. And I'm not talking about some philosophical potential where you, me, myself, and I are having a conversation. We're here right now, all of us. Past Dylan's right here. He's right here. You can see him. Present Dylan's right here. He's paying attention to what's happening. He has one job. You want to know what the present Dylan's job is? He's got one job. Be present. Pay attention. Feel your senses. Be aware. Be here. You got one moment here. Be here. Make it matter. And then future self is right here going, I'm ready for you. Build it. If you build it, I will come. I will be there.
Mm,
We are participating collectively in the creation of your best self, all of us. Your past and the choices that past Dylan Pascal made, your present, where you currently stand, your ability to be here in this moment and feel this moment. Can you feel the energy in this moment? It's not questionable. We are here. This moment is real. It is happening once, and we're in it. And you can feel it. You can feel the skin on the back of your head. You can feel the breath in your lungs. You are here. And then you won't be. And this moment will pass.
the purgatory that is the most real is that life, that future that never got to come into the present moment because the preoccupation of the past. That is
Yeah.
sick. Wow.
So for me, and I will thank my experiences at Burning Man and my experiences with metaphysical journeys and my men's work experience and my relationship with people that are really deeply connected to a bigger vision of what this life means than I ever was before I met them. I will thank all of them. But in today, I look in the mirror and I invite the conversation between the different versions. I can look in the
Mm.
mirror and I can see past Dylan, and he looks back and he will say to me, appreciate your gratitude. I made some hard sacrifices. I left that relationship. I got that job. I worked for that client. I saved that money. Thank you for the recognition. And future Dylan can be like, good job, present self. Good job, present Dylan. I got a great gift for you. I can't wait for you to open it. It's here. I had this moment and it happened. It's a very real moment for me. It's very present to where I am in in this part of my life where I was very upset. I kind of lost in a moment of trying to do work and trying to do this and trying to do that. I was worried about all of it. And I lost my presence. I got angry. And I caught a glance of myself in the mirror. I have a mirror right here, like literally right here. I caught a glance of myself in the mirror, and it wasn't present me. It was future me. And it said,
Mm.
sit down and listen. Listen, I've been talking to myself for a long time. I know well enough when I'm being told to do something. I sat down, I got quiet. And future Dylan said, you have no need to worry anymore. You have no need to worry. Your future, it's coming. It's here. It's inevitable. What is about to happen to you is the byproduct of every past version and every future version of yourself coming together to lay down a series of dominoes. And when the first dominoes start to fall and it becomes obvious what the amazing image and vision of your future life will be, you'll remember this moment because it will seem like a fictional past, some other lifetime. But you have one job. Between here and that first domino coming down, you have one job: be present, make good decisions, follow your heart, follow your soul, follow your purpose, be the best version of yourself now that you can be, because tomorrow's coming and it's going to be beautiful. And I had that very real conversation. It shifted me, not the
Mm.
first time, but I carry that conversation with me through every day. Is this the domino? Is this the moment? Is this the thing that's going to happen? And the gifts that are coming to me and the opportunities and the blessings of a man at 53 to be in love with a woman and giving birth to a new child, a 4-month old child, having been through tragic relationships, the awakening of what's possible at 53. Most people think they're done,
Mm. Yeah.
done. And so I say all of that, and I say it with all full emotion and intent, because your future is inevitable, Cal. And the worrying doesn't serve you anymore. You need to break the chains. You need to find the forgiveness and the gratitude for all of the past Cals who did all of the work that got you to where you are. And you need to pick up that chain and do the work.
Yeah. You made
Where
me
does
think
that
of
put you? Yeah.
you made me think of something really interesting. Two experiences, completely different times in my life. I don't know if we've ever gone into it, but right post rehab, I'm 18 years old. Just felt like I'd spent the last month in a monastery that it was mostly gang members and people who are at the bottom of their run. I end up in Florida, sequence of events. I had this like bizarre expectation that when I arrived to Florida, I'll be seeing gorgeous sunsets and pina coladas and bikinis and beaches and condos. Like I don't know why. Like that maybe the flyer, maybe the brochure from rehab to the halfway house conveyed Florida Sunshine State. And it's probably some images were right, but I had this picture. I arrived midnight, pouring rain, humid, misery. And I get car shows up, stops in front of this house that is like a little hut that if I was, and they walk me in, show me to my bed. If I was going to sit up in the middle of the night, my head was going to hit the fan. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. I had one of those moments that I've only had really high or really drunk prior before. The counselor left. We'll meet you tomorrow morning. We'll do the intake process. I grab all my bags and I start walking. No phone, no money, no keys, no idea where I'm going. I've never been in Lantana, Florida. And I walk. I don't know how long I walked. I don't know if it was 1 block or 10 blocks or 3 blocks or no idea how long that took. I will never forget how I felt, where I stood, the bushes to my left. And all of a sudden I heard a voice, Cal, who said it's going to be any different this time? And I paused and I looked around, dropped my bags. And what then ensued was literally, I can feel a tingling sensation, a warmth to my left. And I'm watching a conversation that was not my voice, because it's not even a logical conversation I would have had. Girlfriend to girlfriend, job to job, drug to drug, city to city, town to town, country to country, scenario to scenario. And then the conclusion to that conversation was, how about you go back and stop running and find out what life could look like? That particular scenario, I can never make sense. Obviously, we can have a theological conversation. You can call it prophecy, you can call it my soul, but in this context, regardless of what it is, it's not right. In this context, that was literally a future self interrupting where nothing, like day-to-day
Why?
circumstances didn't
Why?
work anymore.
Why? Why that moment?
Right,
Were you willing to hear it? Maybe you'd been talking for years,
right.
decades even. And this moment, for whatever reason, He knew he could get your attention. There was an
Right.
openness. There was that connection. No different from me looking in the mirror and catching myself and going, sit down. Our future selves
Wow.
have these tiny little moments, these tiny little opportunities. And we can go deeply religious if we want to. I mean, I'll go there with you anytime you want, spirituality, religion, on those places. I believe that we are our highest self. I believe we are our higher power, that we are a reflection of our creators in a splintered version where they were trying to understand who they were and what their opportunity was as this infinite force. Whether you want to call it God or Yahweh, or I don't care. I don't subscribe to the mass religious dogma of all of it. I'm way more interested in the fact that something bigger than you and smarter than you found a moment to smack some sense into you and you listened. And then my question for you is this, super important. Future self reached out because present Cal was open to it, was able to hear it. Did it change things in your life? Quick question. Did it change things?
Changed the entire trajectory of my life.
Right. Do you know who future Cal would have been had he not listened that day? Have you ever thought about that?
Have I ever thought of it? No. I mean, I've thought of it in the context of it would have been a much worse version of what has been unfolding, just more repetitive. Yeah, who knows?
Could have
I've
been a
only
year,
had
could have been
that.
5 years, it could have been 50
Right.
years before you finally heard it. That one moment. Now, so before you go into the next piece, I want to hear the next piece too. I have a really important question for you. Have you said thank you to past Cal who turned back?
No.
No. You're like,
I mean,
screw you. Screw you. Present me is doing his thing. And, hey, yeah, whatever, you were in that moment and some voice talked and future self, but yet you didn't give the credit to the only part of yourself that had agency. The man who was there in that moment in Florida, who could have said, whatever, that's crazy, who listened.
I don't know. I mean, it gets murky. That's why I don't know if I want to go down this path because it gets a bit. I've had this twice in my life, two other times where I fully believe that's something. And again, people identify
Something
it as different things because according to Jewish mysticism, it could be like some aspect of your soul, or I don't know. That's a longer conversation. And all of it could be true, but I know how I experienced it. That was the second time, and then there was one other time where something penetrated my cognitive worldview and and altered it by giving an alternative version, and almost like that was like the most natural thing to do. Where it didn't like we're not going to leave this up to you. Like like your reasoning and your way of deciding things has not worked. Let's pull you back a little bit from the edge and then let loose again to make more mistakes. But three other times where, yeah, it's very
so
strange.
so maybe future self stepped in and made decisions for you.
Okay.
Maybe somehow there was this break in the space-time continuum and he was able to grab the wheel for a moment and spin it in the right direction. Or maybe that version, that present version in that moment, wanted it and was convinced without being conscious, was like, I want what future self is selling more than I want where I'm heading.
Okay, so this is where the utility of this conversation becomes pertinent, which is up to this very second, those three instances were someone other than me, something other than me.
Hmm.
What's now being introduced is the one who spoke. Oh my God. I can't. Hold on, I can't. The one that spoke, perhaps. was self, the future version, saying, no, no, no. Like the third time when this happened was, don't punish the sons for the sins of their father. When it was like, no, there's an other ideal rather than holding your past with resentment and judgment. There's a different version where more people are considered other than how you felt in one particular moment of your life. Okay, something to
Human,
chew on.
human condition unmasked. You asked for it. Listen, I've done a lot of coaching, and I tell people like, don't call me in if you don't want me to show you what I'm going to show you, because I'm not going to show you like the pretty fluffy things. I'm going to expose you to the reality that you are in charge.
Jordan Peterson talks a lot about, but it never made sense in this particular context. He talks a little bit about that we are not just an individual, we are literally a community because you have the versions of self that you're servicing or in service to. But this, I think from this entire conversation, the two most important moments for me so far is those three moments of interruption of patterns that literally changes the trajectory of my life. I mean, I can talk for an hour on each one. Perhaps that was self, the higher self, and we can close it however we want because it's
Right.
metaphysical. So the self interfered and said, no, 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 perhaps this is possible rather than this. And
And
another
enrolled you
moment,
into it, and enrolled you
right.
into a vision of what was possible. And your present self was powerless to make any other choices because I want that future. I
And
want
the
that
other the
life.
other moment is like where it is still, it's almost strange to hold it, is that the future self isn't looking toward the future. The future the future self is looking towards self now, praying with anticipation, inviting fu- current self, present self to come closer to its highest version.
Let me exist. That's what he's saying. He's saying, please let me exist.
Like, give
I
me
can only
credence,
exist.
allow me in, bring me
Allow
where
me.
choice can exist,
I can
integrate me.
only be that present self in the future if you in the past are present, wills it into being.
The part of giving thanks to the past, the part of forgiving the past, I haven't felt yet fully. I feel like I've glanced
Right.
on the past experiences. I've glanced towards the future self is
Mhm.
doing. The having a
So
conversation to looking toward the
so
past
I
and kind
want
of
to I
going,
want to I want to kind of close us and leave you on that, because when I talk about the multiple me's and the infinite gratitude loop, not a name I came up with, a name that future someone Dylan planted in my head. Whether or not it becomes the name of the book or not, I don't know. It's the name he liked, and he sold me on it enough to write it down in like 46 places because I had nothing better. The piece that's most important is that you can't have that gratitude loop work properly without present self handing it to the past. It can't go from present self to the future and that becomes the loop. It doesn't work. It has to be, and when I say it's the infinite gratitude loop, I mean I want you to think about that infinity symbol, that looping eight,
mm-hmm.
right? It's not a circle. It's got to go back and come
So you,
back
so you,
through
so you
you.
go back to the
You
past
are the
with
center.
appreciation, and
Right.
that same vent, it gives the energy towards the future, or
Yeah.
you're thinking of the past and then thinking of the future.
You are releasing the
The
judgment
past
of the past
in gratitude,
and having gratitude. It's two parts. You got to forgive it and then be grateful. You can't do
right?
one or the other. It's got to be both pieces. So there was a moment, and we don't have to go into it, but it's something. It's where your work will come on the other side of this conversation. If you choose to follow this path, I believe you will have the revelation you're missing that hasn't quite happened to you yet. And it goes like this. There's a part of you that's still really mad at that version of Cal who left Florida, who went to pack his stuff and grabbed his things and was like, I'm out of here. There's a part of you that's like, you jerk. Why would you do that, you jerk? Like, you know, wasn't enough palm trees for you and the brochure, and you still hold a list against some element of that version of yourself. And the first thing that needs to happen is you need to pass Cal and they say, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was possible. I was caught up in the moment. And then you need to say, I forgive you. And not only do I forgive you for packing your bags,
Again, this
and
is the past
yeah,
speaking to the present.
it goes in both directions. It gets a little complicated
Oh, for the
because
future. Okay, so similar to the
so
future is looking toward the present and asking for it to come in. The past needs to have a conversation with the present self,
right.
asking for forgiveness. Oh my God, my brain.
Now, but here's where the piece of that is. When you look at the infinity symbol,
Right,
okay,
right,
it starts with you in the present, looping through the past and
right,
reconnecting it, and then back to you in the present,
right.
and then looping to the future, and then back to you in the present, and then looping back to the past because by now, present self is past self. It's this constant, infinite gratitude loop created by letting go of the blame of the past and having gratitude for it. Because that version of you that heard and turned back never got really appreciated. Not to the degree that you as a man would really like to be appreciated.
Oh,
I
I'm fully resentful toward my past, many parts of past.
right, right. And so once you stop being resentful,
So the
it's not
past
just
hasn't really spoken to the present self.
yeah. Right. He feels blamed. He's not going to apologize. He thinks you're the jerk. You're going to make another mistake, jerk. And you're looking back and like, no, you're the jerk. No, you're the jerk. No, you're the jerk. No, you know what? Both of you are the gift. Neither of you is the jerk. Both of you made decisions and choices, and you now need to shake hands, make up,
Mm.
and not just forgive, but say thank you. If you hadn't left, I would have never heard my future possibility. And you would have never had the opportunity to come back and give me the present self that I am today. I am who I am today, not because of my choices. I, Dylan, am who I am today, not because of my choices. I chose to get up today. I chose to have a great day at an anniversary this weekend. I made choices, but who I am today is that's owned by past Dylan. Yesterday, Dylan, a year ago, Dylan, 10 years ago, Dylan, 30 years ago, Dylan. Choices were made that gave me this life. And I, Dylan, have said thank you to all of them. And if I find one that I didn't say thank you to or that I didn't forgive, it becomes an immediate conversation. Immediate,
Right.
hold on. I'd like to hear your apology. Go ahead. I'm open to it. I'm really sorry I did that, Dylan. I was just selfish and, I was a kid and I wasn't thinking straight and I'm really sorry. Awesome. I'm really grateful for you, past Dylan. That taught me something. I didn't know it at the time. I thought it was a screwed up move, but that taught me something that I've built on now. And I have the life that I have now because of your sacrifices and your choices. And I'm thank you. And because you do that, it gives current self permission to make mistakes and take chances and make different choices, knowing that somewhere down the road, you'll say thank you to him too.
Mm.
As long as you are withholding, I know that's one of your words, as long as you are withholding from Pascal, you're not free.
Right. Yeah.
You're in debt. You're indebted to him without actually realizing it. But he knows. And you're still blaming him for the things that he did. So that's the work. And that work is how do I forgive? and have gratitude for the worst decisions in my life that created the best decisions in my life
Hmm.
because they were
Right.
tied to each other. So that's the concept of the past, present, future selves that sit with us, that have conversations with us, that want the best for us, that want us to learn from their mistakes. They didn't mean to make those mistakes, and that are hoping that they can be brought into reality by what you do today. One version, one version that gets to do stuff and experience stuff. And he has to sacrifice himself for tomorrow. One day
I,
he'll
w-
be tomorrow, maybe.
I want to contemplate something. I'm curious if that happened to you now that you have a small little human in your life. I remember the day my daughter came into the world in the old city in Jerusalem in a little pool in our living room, candles, music. I remember the moment of her life, caught her under the water, cut the umbilical cord. I remember that next morning walking in the old city in Jerusalem. And it was a sensation and an insight that I've never had in my entire life up to that point. It was the first time I was able to see where life begins, but I was able to translate it to me that this human that is like the thrownness of life, because we experiencing like, what do you mean? Like, as far as I can tell, I can't remember when I started. I've just been here, like, other than the physical, like, it's like, here I am. Here's my awareness. I'm in the middle of life. But for the first time in my life, I was able, okay, that actually like that clock started ticking right there, and all of a sudden I go, holy crap, this started ticking at some point and will end at some point. It was such a perspective of life that I'm curious if,
So this is where we'll have to wrap on this in a moment because
yeah,
we'll go way deep if we keep going. This is like a second entire podcast.
right,
And anybody watching this, what I'm about to say is not an acceptable thing to say for most people, and I don't really care. Um, this is not my first time here on this planet. Okay, I've been here a lot. I've been through a lot of experiences and a lot of lives before Dylan came into existence. And whatever spirit is imbued in Dylan came from somewhere else and will continue somewhere else in some other plane of existence. When my son Parker was born, it's my third child. Okay. We can talk about my first child, my second child. I was a very, very different person. I was not fully aware of my before this life history.
hmm,
I am now. I'm very, very clear on it now. I've been let in. I've been let behind the veil of I've been here. Remember this. When Parker was born, I had conversations before he was born with him. I had a full on discussion with this soul who would be entering my life. And I was told by spirit and guides that the long road of lifetimes that I've experienced was about to change. And that all of the things that I had gained through all of these lifetimes needed to be passed on before that happened.
hmm,
And this spirit who was coming in had what I have, the ability to continue. And it was my job in this life to give him everything that he could possibly need or want, to educate him, to bring in the tools, to share with him all of the vastness of this amazing existence so that he doesn't have to start from zero. So I remember him in my arms moments after birth. He was a C-section baby. I was brought to him moments, and we bonded and had skin to skin. And I had conversations about this new soul who was not new.
Mm,
who had also come from a different life. And this was his next incarnation or his next existence. And he didn't understand. He couldn't talk anymore. He couldn't move properly. He couldn't see clearly. He had had this other existence, and suddenly here he is, like this little tiny thing. And this person was looking at him in his eyes and going, let me bridge that gap for you.
hmm
Let me help you come into this life as easily as you can with the knowledge that I know this is a really weird experience and it's not your first time.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we go really deep into that whole thing because it opens up this whole other can of worms of past lives
Dimensions.
and dimensions and existence and who are we. But I will tell you that that moment sits with me, and I've had many of those with him in these first 4 months where I look into his eyes and I can see I can see who he used to be and who he can possibly be. And all of a sudden we break down the multiple me's into multiple lifetimes, all happening at the exact same moment. Listen,
I can
I
relate.
don't play in the shallow end of the pool. I'm uninterested in the shallow end of the pool. I'm gonna splash around.
I
I'm
remember
going deep.
starting. I remember starting conversations with my daughter before my ex-wife knew that she was pregnant. I remember the second when she came into this realm
Yeah.
and we started having conversations and having dreams. When she came into the world, it was like, oh, this is the person who chose me as a portal. Like, what the strangest. Here we are. Lots
So
more happening than we can explain that we could see.
once you master the reality that you yourself in this one life are multiple versions,
Right.
what
Fascinating.
if you are every life? What if you are your daughter? What if she's you? What if you're me? What if we're all each other simultaneously, except living linearly?
I mean, in Kabbalah, the Jewish soul, the soul is referred to as like nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, yechida. So the soul has these five different elements, which are happening simultaneously on different dimensions. So the fact that they're happening this way, they also happen simultaneously. Obviously, we're coming from, yeah, the brain. I'm not going to try to articulate it.
We're we're coming from a one and from an infinite simultaneously. And if you can explain that, you'll understand
Right,
life.
right,
How can you be one and infinite at the exact same time?
right.
You can. We are.
Yeah.
And
But the
what a
utility,
gift to be here in the moment
right,
to create and bring that to reality, to bring that potential version of yourself to the highest extreme this time around. What a gift.
but all those, and then we'll wrap up with this. All those with like when you started having me write about aspects of my past and start to identify, okay, what is happening here? Like that's the utility of this conversation to really kind of what is the most tangible future self communicating, and that definition of prayer is just so beautiful. The anticipation of fulfillment, but it's the fulfillment into the present. So it's like it's hey, let me in.
Yeah.
Be present enough, be available enough so you can make the kind of choices that I can come in, but then also simultaneously be able to speak to the past, being like, okay, you really served well. You make the best decisions then. How do we let you integrate rather than
Right.
keep getting my attention because this part of self, the future self wants to come in and you're like preoccupying me. It's like
Right.
that's the utility of this conversation.
The
Um,
the final piece, and then I think it's a closed door. It's
yeah.
always an open door, but it's a closed door to this part of the conversation. Don't start future to present. It's a mistake. Heal the
Mhm.
past. Give the past its time. Give it your gratitude, forgive it, let it free, let it be the foundation that you build that future you on. Because for better or for worse, those choices got you here.
Can you speak a little bit about that for a minute? What do you
Hmm?
mean by that? It's like you take a scenario that might be shameful or annoying, or you see it
You
in
can you
less
can you can
light.
pick you can pick any moment. You can pick any moment. There is a part of you that needs to be forgiven. There is some past self, some past, I resent it, I regret it, I'm angry about that choice, that decision, that moment. It's trapping you. It's keeping you in the past. It's preventing your future self from coming forward because past self doesn't feel like it was worthwhile. If we're not free to make mistakes, if our mistakes are judgments from our future self, then you're going to live a narrow life out of fear. And if you have not yet taken those past decisions and allowed forgiveness and gratitude to flow, you have no foundation for present and future self to build. That's the
Right,
foundation,
right.
right? You have to till the soil before you plant the seeds, before you grow the
And
fruits and the
it's also
trees.
very disempowering if the present self knows that what will become of the past will be disregarded.
Exactly. Because it's the habit that we have created to say,
Like no
whatever happened in the past, that
appreciation.
was that. Whatever, it's in the
Right,
past, forget it now. Who cares? That was just a decision. That was just past decision. That was just
right.
dumb. I was so dumb. No, you were no different than you are today, making decisions and doing the best that you could with what you had available, and you made mistakes. Good for you.
Right.
What a gift.
And not only
Did you
that,
learn from it?
that past self at some point was a future self asking for access. So if you're going to see the future
Yeah.
with anticipation, wow, okay,
It's a
something
loop.
to
That's
meditate on.
that that's
Right,
that's why it's the infinite gratitude loop because it's all connected. All pieces of
right,
it have to be healed and cared for and loved in order for it to work. And I am fortunate enough that in the last, I don't know, 3, 4 years, 4 or 5 years, since this understanding was downloaded to me, I have done everything I can to heal the past, to be present, and to invite the future in. And I'm very excited for my future, and I know it's coming. I have grateful anticipation for it in this moment as a present self, which isn't the way that's supposed to happen until you've created the loop.
right, right.
And I have, gratitude for the mistakes I'm going to make later today and tomorrow because I've
Which means that
already created the loop
the future self's prayer is existing in the present,
and in
as
the
in like
past.
they're pulling into, right,
It's all one. It's all the same. It's all going through you and it's your opportunity to let it go and let it in.
right.
You can
That's an
block it
interesting
or you can
image
allow it.
that Warren Earhart used to hold a lot. Like, is your future empty enough, available enough? He went to emptiness because he was that kind of existential world, like empty it out rather than having the past live in the future and you're constantly living yourself into the repetition of it. But yours is this model is very different because the future is not empty. That future is full with a better version with
And
prayer
yeah,
and
better versions and worse
attention,
versions and
beckoning,
opportunities. And yes, right.
beckoning. Like, hey, can you hear me?
Yeah. So I
Dylan
hope you
Stewart.
got something out of this conversation and you're going to walk away from here a slightly better version of Cal tomorrow than you were today and yesterday. That's my hope.
Yeah, thinking out of the box. Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
for this opportunity.
We'll talk soon.
Be well.
All right. Go be say hello to the family, the wife for me. All right. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Bye bye.